Hi, my name is Dr. Cheryl Meyer, and I'm a psychologist, and I integrate spirituality and spiritual teaching and music and art so that we can raise our consciousness and become more aware in our lives, more conscious about what we're doing, what choices we're making, instead of just doing things unconsciously, subconsciously, and hurting people. I really want to promote learning how to love consciously, and so that's why I'm making these videos. So this video is about learning how to enter the silence. And if any of you know me, then you know I'm not silent. I have this passion in me to give what's been given to me. But I have learned over the past few years how to enter into the silence. I do it every day as a practice, and at first, I don't remember how difficult it was. It was probably difficult, but it was so rewarding, even at the beginning. This week, I felt like I've had to face every fear I've ever had in my life. So it's been a rough week. And so I was inspired to do this video today to help you guys if you're facing these same kind of fears, if you've experienced them in your life, or maybe whenever this video comes to you, you've just faced it. I'll tell you the progression of events, how this happened for me, so that it's just authentic for you, and you can trace your own story in this. Basically, I kept trying to work on something, putting everything I had into, it's like trying to untie a knot in my own life, and felt like I had to keep working on something. I had to keep working on shedding my own layers of ego or whatever, which is important work. It's important work. But finally I just got to a place and I was like, I can't do anymore. I am at the end. And I just felt like, what if I sabotage this anyway? What if this beautiful thing that's being created, is amazing, it's beautiful, I just burn it down on accident? Like, what if I sabotage, And I know I had dinner with someone last night, and we were talking about the same idea of, what happens when we have this good and we have this fear that we're going to sabotage it, or it's going to go away, It's like it's too good to be true almost. What happens in our childhood is we have a level of experience and of love, let's say. Okay, I'll just use this giant heart that I have here. And I have a light, it's reflecting. So in our childhood, let's say we get this much love, When we have more love, like let's say, it's like filling up a gas tank, we get it up to here. This is really uncomfortable. We're like, we're not used to this. So it's like we find ways, because it brings up our shame. It's really weird how it brings up our shame. We are like ashamed to have more love than our parents gave us or our parents had in their own lives. And so we find ways to push that back down, or it leaks out, or we just tell ourselves we're not allowed to have it, or all sorts of things happen. You can have it. You're meant to have it. This is what I learned this week through, again, really painful experiences, because the fears that came up, I've never faced something like this. I feel like the last 3 months have been like a crash course in raising my consciousness for whatever reason, who knows why. And I have heard back from a lot of other people that this is going on everywhere. We just entered 2020, but whenever you're watching this, it's timeless, it's fine. But I don't usually like saying the date, but there's a lot of different planetary conjunctions and different things going on that are bringing up a lot of these things for people. And if you notice, I have like a cold. A lot of stuff is detoxing out of us. And so when the breakthrough finally happened for me was when I just gave up and I surrendered, and I'm like, I can't do anymore. I can't work on anything else. I just accept myself where I am. And I didn't accept myself. I just said, this is where I am. And it was quite sad. And, oh, that's funny, because guess where my eyes just went? Because I have this behind something else, but it's like, you are worth it. And I got your back. I know, we're all worth it. You're worth it. But when you get to that place, you're just out of your own power. You are done using your own power. There's nothing left in you to do what you thought your job was to do. But really, I mean, my job might have been to do all that I was working on doing. It's like the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to, you know, to do the things that I meant to do, you know, to let go of the rest, and the wisdom, and give me the wisdom to know the difference, you know, grant me the serenity. It's going into that. And so what I wrote down a few notes about what happened is just to cherish and accept where you are. It's okay to be where you are. This is where you are. I actually just recognize the reality. I was pushing and pushing and pushing against seeing that in myself. And then I just recognize the reality of like, this is just where I am. I'm at the end. I can't do more. And I hope it's enough. It actually felt like when I gave birth to one of my kids, it felt like I cannot push anymore. I don't know how this baby is gonna get out. It's really weird if you've been there. If you're a woman and you've been there, it's an amazing, profound experience, but it's exhausting. And it's like that's necessary. It's a necessary process for the baby to be born. So sometimes it is necessary. It didn't feel like neurotic pushing. I was actually just working on what kept coming up organically and naturally for me. But when I just admitted, like, I'm broken and this is where I am and I can't do more, then there was this peace. And I felt, again, back to this place in myself, in my own truth, in my own authenticity, because that's actually where I was. And it's like this wave of emotion or this wave of communication came in. It's hard to describe. It's like the love that I was seeking external to myself showed up internally as soon as I released. Some people describe it like the divine feminine in you and the divine masculine in you. It's like this relationship happens. I allowed the masculine energy in me to show up and the feminine energy in me to show up, and like they befriended each other, and I felt all this love and all this connection, and the spiritual element showed up as well. And so it's like this unification of the male and the female and the divine in that. But one of the reasons that it was difficult for me to go into this silence, I realized just today, was that, you know, I would run from the silence. I would enter it for my meditations because I have an exercise and I quiet and I watch for the exercise and I receive and I am passive and I let it come to me, and it's a safe way for me to be silenced because I'm assigned, I work with a spiritual director and I'm assigned this thing to do every day. And so that was a safe way, but it actually kept expanding my comfort level with silence. And so it's good that I had that, but to just go into the silence myself, I didn't realize why I was so scared till today. I realized that because I was describing to my spiritual director today, I had a meeting with her over FaceTime, that I thought entering into the silence meant entering into a place where there's going to be a void. There's going to be a lack of presence. What happened, I'll rewind a little bit, is earlier this week I did an exercise. This guy, Aaron Dowdy, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he has all these, I feel so fortunate that I came across his meditations. They won't vibe with everybody, they won't go for everybody, but I feel like I moved into a place where I'm allowing enough love where suddenly his meditation showed up on my radar. This is just what happens when you raise your level of consciousness, then more things on that level of consciousness show up in your reality. and you can start using those tools. And so he had a tool about your worthiness and completing a cycle. And so he has you go and do this meditation where you find you relax your mind, and basically what comes up, because he's directing you, but what comes up is some area in your childhood that something didn't get resolved, something's still there, and it's blocking you. I understand this as a psychologist. It's kind of like I look at life like a river that's flowing, and there's all these dams everywhere, and you want the river to be flowing, and so we work on a problem like untying a knot, and then the river can flow, and love can flow in your life, and love can flow in your life to other people. And what happened was I did this exercise, and I went into this old memory I had of course it was a song, because I always get songs. I forgot that I got them ever since I was a child. And I had this one song, and I used to tell people about this story, like, oh, here's the story, and it was like this old 80s song that was like, what are words for? I had a jam box, I was playing it to my parents, like full blast. And I was like, what are words for? If no one listens, it's no use talking at all. Do you hear me? Do you care? What are words for? Anyway, I won't sing it. My voice is so bad right now. It's fine though. I'm accepting where I am. I love where I am right now. It's so fun, and it's so beautiful, and it feels so wonderful again to just be where I am, sick, whatever I am, like whatever. I love it. I'm really enjoying being me right now. And but anyway, it's because it's a grace that's been given to me to enter into this silence. I was really scared of it. Let me go through this exercise. So I went through this exercise, saw myself holding up the jam box, yelling, through the song. And what I noticed, and so in the exercise, you actually show up for yourself. So you're not just leaving yourself in a void, you show up emotionally for yourself in the way that your parents didn't. And I just bawled my eyes out, because it's amazing. It's like I have the presence now to be able to be with myself. But what I noticed that I was looking for in that exercise was I was looking for my parents to be present. And I know my parents, how they were back then. They didn't have the capacity to be present. They weren't present on that level. That's not how they were operating. They were operating on a lower level of consciousness. So what I got used to asking for something that wasn't there, it's like that song, you can look at the menu, but you just can't eat. You can dip your foot in the pool, but you just can't swim. It's this idea of pining and longing. And so I have, you can look at my YouTube list, unless I take it down. I have three lists, and a mixtape that I made for Elliott Smith when we were friends, and when we were connecting back then. I made him one mixtape, and it was all about longing songs for a girl, because we knew that the longing was for union with the divine, with God. We talked about that, and he had a CD called Either Or, which was based on Kierkegaard's Either Or, which was talking about this longing. He had this longing for Regina, which means like a queen, which is like the divine feminine. Kierkegaard did. And anyway, so Elliot and I would talk about that, but I have this whole list of a mixtape that I made for him that I found the other day, and I put a bunch of the songs on. But all the songs are about longing, and this is what Elliot and I had in common, among other things. I felt this soul connection with him, but we always had this longing and longing and longing for love, and it was like we're allowed to long but not have. And that's what I experienced early in this early memory. I was like 9 or 10 in childhood, because I remember which house I was playing that jam box in. And so it was like I got used to asking for a presence that wasn't there. And I showed up for myself in that presence, as that presence, because I have that capacity now. And it was so healing, but it was so... Dr. Surkis was Surkis. He was my mentor and teacher in Montreal when I was back there, when I was doing my internship. And he said, when you get in touch with yourself, he'd always do this, when you get in touch with yourself, you get in touch with the touch you didn't have. And so I got in touch with this connection that I had never had, that I always wanted, and that I never thought I could have. And I always still wanted it, but I did think I could have it, but also I didn't. It's like Elliot sang a song about that. You once talked to me about love. You painted pictures of and never land. And I could have gone to that place, but I didn't understand. I didn't understand. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. He plays it on the piano on YouTube. Maybe, I'll look for that link. Anyway, I had this healing experience, and then at the end of the meditation, you flood your heart with all this love. So you heal up that place. And how Aaron describes it is that you release, and I do the same thing in psychology all the time in therapy. So it's like you have now closed that circuit and released that, and you feel lighter, and you get lighter. But what happened was then I kept thinking when someone said go into the silence, that they were, I was going to have to push myself into a silence where I felt this pain, this longing for a presence that was never going to be there. So the silence scared me to death, because I thought it was going to be a place where I didn't feel loved, just a void. And it's like someone was trying to torture me, and I didn't know. And it might have been if I entered that silence without healing this, or maybe if I entered the silence, this healing would have come another way. But I was ready for the healing. And so they say, when you're ready for the teacher appears. So I was ready for this healing. And there's so much more that I wrote down but I want to make this video short. Just about, I learned about like enlightenment. You're letting more light in. You're going into the silence. You're letting more love and presence in. Learning how to just be quiet and be present with a loving presence with yourself. Let go of judging. Let go of blaming. When we blame other people, because I did that in my last video. You guys look at the notes in the description, because sometimes I get awareness after I put out a video, and I ask, Spirit or whatever, should I take down that video, or ought I take down that video? Because I was too reactive. I recognize afterwards, when I've calmed down, that I was being reactive and blaming other people, or saying, oh, they don't want us to heal or whatever. And then I realized I was reacting. When I put it out on other people, I immediately get it back. I get all this blame in my environment because I put my shadow self out there on someone else. So in the description, though, I'll change the description sometime. I put like a note in the last video, so you can look and see if there's a correction to be made. So the video can still stand, because I'm going to keep evolving and my videos aren't going to be perfect. But take what resonates for you. Anyway, is if we let go of judging ourselves, judging other people, blaming other people, and drama. We don't need drama. You can go back to my video on empowering women with the lion strength. Is have lion strength within yourself. Have courage. Know that you don't have to manipulate. You don't have to twist things around. You don't have to get power a different way. There's a power in entering this silence that comes to you, and love comes to you. It washes over you. It's I put intimacy, which is someone said before, into me see, like you're seeing into your own self. You're offering yourself an intimacy that you always wanted, but you never knew that. And don't worry about sabotaging it. If you sabotage it, it'll come back another way. Just keep persevering and keep knowing that you can have love, and you can have 100% of love. I think of if the divine, if God, the creator, however you understand all that is, if God is love and God is 100% love, then that's where we're meant to vibrate. That's, if you understand it that way, that's where we're meant to tune ourselves in. We're not meant to have less than that. My own understanding of religion was that I couldn't have the fullness of love. I couldn't have this 100% capacity. Because you understand from my experience, I was always, if I saw and I experienced my parents as like a God, and I kept wanting this presence and longing for this presence and this closeness, and it just wasn't there, and it wasn't going to be there, and there wasn't a way I could manipulate it out of my parents, because they weren't there. They didn't heal they hadn't healed what they needed to heal to be present in that depth that I longed for. My heart longed for this. I knew it. I knew it. It's like some people describe like, oh, a near-death experience, or where, where they go up and they feel this heavenly light and they're in this deep love, and then they come, I know this from other experiences, but they come back to earth and they're like, no, for the love of God, don't let me leave that loving place where I felt so loved. I know this from this space in me, and from other meditations I've done where I felt the fullness of love, and I never wanted to leave that. It was so sad to leave that place. And I thought I could never have it in my life. But this healing, I'm not saying everything's magically healed, but this healing brings me to this beautiful place where I know this love, and I have it in my being. And like I said, everything that I thought was out there, that I could only get out there, it's in here. It's like when Jesus says the kingdom of God is within you. It's learning how to find that and learning how to trust. And it's so weird because I was cleaning my room here where I am in, and I found this candle, and it's called like the Divine Mercy of Christ. I didn't know what this candle was. I just buy them for $2 at the grocery store. In Jesus and You I trust. And I showed it to my spiritual director this morning, and she pulled over this book. Maybe I can put it at the end. She had a copy of this book that had the same Jesus picture on the outside of it. I think it was Poland, she said, is where a woman was given this vision. And it's about a Christ that you trust, and trust has been a difficult thing for me. This is like I was brought on a journey, and I took myself and I challenged myself to go to scary places that I was scared to go to. But it's important to go outside of your comfort zone. It's important to challenge your ego, let go of your ego. Because you can find so much love in these places. It's a new place because it's unfamiliar. Familiar is family. Family is what we're used to. And so if we teach ourselves you have to be loyal to your family, then I'm only going to be loyal to the amount of presence and the love that my parents gave me, which is down here. And I'm called to be loyal to something higher than my family. I can love my family and wish them all the love in the world, but I'm going somewhere higher. And because I'm taking that love, and I'm worth that. Just like my eyes went to that at the beginning, you're worth it, and I got your back. Get your own back. Show yourself you're worth it by going there. Have this love. Don't just long for it like Elliot and I knew this pain. We shared this pain. You can have it. You can have this love. It's so beautiful. Like, let me see if there's anything else. Believe in the impossible. I wrote it here. Is you can maybe. Yes, I don't know. Hopefully, there's not anything totally personal on that, but is I'm possible, impossible. Audrey Hepburn said that the impossible turns into I'm possible. Oh yeah, that was another thing that got to me. I'll have to do another video on that. But I got this vision of the song Ebony and Ivory because I was asking Christ, I was asking him, how do you love me with all these faults and all these weaknesses and all these ways that I can't do this. I feel like you're asking me to go to these places and I can't. I don't have the capacity. And he showed me Ebony and Ivory and just a keyboard, and how there's just a white note, the ivory, and the ebony, the black note, and you just play these two, and I'm just one of the notes and he's one of the notes. Oh, I have Bob Marley on my shirt today. I love Bob Marley. Oh, and he's a mixture of no wonder that just came to me. He had a black mother and a white father. Sorry, these synchronicities happen to me and they're just so profound to my heart. That's why I start tearing up, because I had no idea why. It's just, I'm wearing this today because I'm going somewhere right after this. And this is what I felt called to wear for where I'm going. But it just showed up when I'm talking about Ebony and Ivory. But Christ showed me in my meditation Ebony and Ivory. He's just like, don't think of yourself as you have to jump through these hoops and you have to be perfect. Think of yourself as a note. You're a note and I'm a note. And when you play these two notes, they make a harmony and there's a third note. And so it's neutral. Don't judge yourself for how much you've done or how little you've done or any of it. Play your note. Be you. Play your note. Play the frickin' song. Play the note of yourself. And God, the divine, will play with you. And you make beautiful music together. Like Ebony and Ivory. And I know I thought of Stevie Wonder when that song came up too, and because I feel blind in a lot of ways. It's just a weakness I feel in my when I go into the spiritual place. I can feel things and I can sense things, but sometimes I'm just completely blind with my eyes. And so Christ knows that I feel this way. This is deep stuff that I'm sharing with you guys. I hope you understand and you resonate with it. It's just how I experience my own spiritual life. You can have whatever religion. For me, I relate with Christ because that's who I've been meeting with for many years now in the spiritual realm, in the deep meditation that I go into. And he shows me these things and he's so loving to me, always a lot more loving than I could ever imagine that he would be. When I just allow him to be him and I'm surrendered, Galassanite, when I'm surrendered to just let it be and be in the flow. And because I keep thinking he's gonna hurt me or say something mean like, oh, you're not doing this right, and he never does. He's always showing this is I trust in your divine mercy. This is your forgiveness, your constant unconditional love. It's lit in here, but it's not usually a picture of Christ that I would be drawn to, but I had just been cleaning, so it happened to be there. Oh, I have a guardian angel over there too, and there's wings on this. And I found this sunlight too. This came to me. I didn't know I had this, but I was cleaning something else, and I have the sun came to me. Oh, okay. This bracelet came to me when I was cleaning, and there's a sun on it. Let's see if I can get the sun. There's a sun on it, and on the back it says, "You are my sunshine." It's so sweet, and it says, "You are cherished and you are loved." And my name is Cheryl, and it's like cherished. It's like dear one in French. It's my dear one. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up so this video isn't too long. I wish you so much love. Please know that it's possible, and I'm gonna keep making videos so we can go to these places, and I will add some of the songs, either Ebony and Ivory or Elliot's song or other songs in the links below, so that you can go on whichever song you're inspired to go on. Because I heard another song this morning too in my mind's ear. Is that how it goes? In my inner knowing. Anyway, I wish you so much love. Thanks for joining me. Share this with whoever, or not. I love you guys. Take care.